Hey, this is Dr. Nick with the ECG Academy. Going to finish up Section 4 with Chapter 4, Limitations of ECG Systems. Now, what does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about what can go wrong when you're recording an ECG and how to make sure that what you're looking at is real. And so here's the first 12 lead that I'm going to show you in this course. Hot off the presses from a brand new ECG machine, and it looks really pretty, doesn't it? There are nice clean signals, and what you're seeing is black ink printed on paper that has this printed pink grid. And just to get you oriented, you've got your limb leads, 1, 2, and 3, AVR, AVL, AVF, and then your chest leads or your precordial leads, V1 through V6. Now, what you have to understand is that these lines are all running simultaneously. So this beat is the same as this beat, as the same as this beat. And so sometimes what happens is you see when this line changes from V3 over to V6, you can sometimes get some squiggles or weird signals that you're not sure what to make of. But that's why the last line, the fourth line, is known as a rhythm strip. It's just one lead that runs all through the entire strip, and we call it a rhythm strip, so you can see very clearly what the rhythm is. Now, this looks great. It's easy to interpret and very straightforward. We're going to get into actually how to interpret it in future chapters, but I want to show you a different kind of tracing. Now, this is a rhythm strip that I got from my files, and you can see written on here, urgent broadcast called, because what happened is it says the patient had about 7 seconds of asystole, and that means flatline, no rhythm. And you can actually see that here. There's a QRS complex and then a T wave, and then nothing until way over here where there's a QRS complex. And it looks like the heart stopped for all this while, and you think, oh my goodness. Well, here's what you need to know. The size of this ECG is on the order of 1,000th of a volt. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. And what the ECG machine is trying to do is pick up these little tiny electrical signals from the skin. But it can pick up other electrical signals as well from the skin or from the muscle or from just the patient moving around or breathing. And what you can see, for example, from here to here is this sort of very fine undulation, this kind of like little random noisy signal, which we call the baseline. The baseline should have those little tiny fluctuations. But here you see that baseline is not present. And if you glance to the left here, it almost seems like someone took a ruler and a pen and just drew a straight line from here to here. It doesn't move. You don't have those little tiny fluctuations. And so what happened is that the wire got disconnected. So this patient was on the monitor. Somehow the leads got disconnected. The electrodes came loose. And that's what made it appear that the heart stopped, but it really didn't. So whenever you see this kind of flat line appearance where it looked like somebody drew that line with a ruler, you should really think that perhaps it's not real. The space in between beats really should look like this. Now I'll show you another example of that. Now this was a patient who was on the monitor, and they were. I was asked to see the patient because it seemed like their heartbeat was really slow. But one thing you notice, this kind of looks like a T wave, and maybe there's a QRS complex in here somewhere, but it sure looks really bizarre. And then there's a little signal, and then from here to here, again, it looks like someone took a ruler and just drew a straight line. And so, and then suddenly you've got this drop. See that how it suddenly drops? That's almost like where the wire makes a connection, and the real electrical signal suddenly appears to the circuits of the ECG machine. So you'll see this sudden drop. It could go up or it could go down. When you'll suddenly make the connection, the circuit will be closed, and then you'll record this sort of usual normal baseline artifact, this little tiny squiggle here. And then, I don't know, there may be some noise in this, so this doesn't look like a good signal. But from here to here, again, you see someone took a ruler and drew it. And this is a kind of a make and break artifact. Artifact is the word I like to use when it's not real. The heart isn't really doing this. It's just that the electrical circuitry is showing you something that doesn't really exist. I'm going to give you another example here. This is the last one. This is from my files. And here you've got 3 leads. They're kind of in a funny order, 2 and then 1 and then 3. But they're all running simultaneously as they usually will. And you can clearly see these QRS complexes marching through on all 3 lines. But I want you to first notice that in between these QRS complexes, there's a lot of artifact in the baseline, what I like to call high-frequency artifact. It's just junk. It's just electrical noise that's present throughout this lead. But the other thing I want you to notice that aside from high-frequency noise, there are also low-frequency signals. These undulations here, that's not really the patient. That's something else. There's something moving. Either the patient has is moving, but as you notice, as time goes on, these low frequency undulations get larger and larger. And when you look at this, if you were to just look at this by itself, you'd say, oh my goodness, call the coronary care unit, call a code. The patient's having some horrible arrhythmia. It looks like ventricular tachycardia. But look what's happening in this lead. See, the QRSs are marching on through. So in fact, the heart is not in an arrhythmia. It's just beating normally. And what you're seeing here is a low frequency artifact. It's just an electrical noise superimposed on the EKG. You can actually see the QRS complex is there and here. It's still present. But you've got a much larger electrical signal being generated by something outside of the body, something coming from in between the heart and the ECG system is messing this up. And you have to make sure that you look at every EKG with a grain of salt. Always in the back of your mind have the question, is it real or is it artifact? And if you do that, you won't make the mistake of misinterpreting electrical noise as something real. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, you can log on to ecgacademy.com to watch all the videos from beginning to advanced, as well as subscribe to the weekly Chalk Talks that'll get you used to reading more complicated tracings. This is Dr. Nick from the ECG Academy. Thanks for watching.